So let me tell you a bit about the setting that we're going to be talking about. This is a project located in Kenya, in central Kenya, among smallholding dairy farmers. The dairy industry is about 4% of GDP and covers about 1 million small-scale farmers. And this is, think of the guys who own 1, 2, 3 cows. Okay, that's the average kind of space that we're in. So these are very smallholder dairy farmers. The technology is these big, large 5,000-liter water tanks. They're quite new in the space in that people have used tanks a lot before, so the tanks per se are not new, but these are lightweight, they're plastic, they're very durable, they last you a lot longer, they don't rust, they don't corrode, the stone ones erode, so it's basically going to just be a much more durable version of the technology. And they're filled from the roof, so you can think of, having a little sloped iron roof, and the water drips down from that into a gutter system, which then sort of flows into this tank. They were introduced in the market about a decade ago, displacing these metal and stone tanks that have a lot of problems with them. This is about a $320 loan, which is about 20% of household consumption. Okay, so it's quite a big loan up front. Okay, what do these tanks do? They're going to do two things in this area. The first is that they're going to store water through the dry season, for some of the dry season. Okay, so they can be used for domestic consumption. I just go to the tank, there's a little tap at the bottom, and I fill up a vessel that I want to drink from or something. The other thing that will happen in the rainy season is that they fill up every day in the rainy season. And so in the rainy season, they're often used to give water to your cows. Okay, and the big advantage of this is that, cows are closer to human beings than one might think, in that what most people do with their cows is they take a cow out to drink once or twice a week, and they leave them out by the water for the whole day. It turns out drinking all you can for a day, every third day, doesn't make one very happy. It would not make you or me happy. It turns out the cows are not super productive in this spectrum. So largely, most people would suggest, you give a cow food and water regularly through a day and through the week, not in these big bursts of a day at a time, every third day. So the water tanks could have impacts on both things. In the rainy season, you might give it to cows because it's filling up every day. In the dry season, it's largely used for domestic consumption because that's when you're trying to store for your own household. Just to give you an idea, in this area, women are spending about 20 minutes every day fetching water on average, and men spend an average of 100 minutes a day tending livestock. So like I said, this is not every day that they go out. This is just the average per day, but some people are going out on a Monday and some people are going out on Tuesday, and they usually go once every 3 days. About a third of our households have piped water, but you shouldn't think of this as water every day. Piped water, and maybe the water shows up on a Tuesday and then doesn't show up for another week. So it's a way to, there is some access, but it's sort of very intermittent. A lot of households do have tanks in this non-durable stone or metal way, but very few of them have very large ones. Okay, so you should think of this as having, 100, 200-liter tanks, not in the 1,000 space. Okay, so we're going to work very closely with a dairy cooperative in central Kenya that tests, cools, and stores milk to a process, and then sends it to a processing plant. So all these farmers bring in their milk every day, and you deliver milk every day. You get paid once a month, and every day sort of this cooperative cools it and then sends it into processing. So these are pictures from the cooperative. You can see the big tanks of milk being brought in, and then they get cooled in a central place and then sent out. Aside with the cooling plant is a savings and credit cooperative. Okay, so a bunch of people are members of the saving and credit cooperative. They can deposit money and save in this, and they can also take out loans from the savings and credit cooperative. Most of the loans are either for livestock services like feed, or for school fees or emergencies like a health emergency. What's the standard loan that the SACCO gives? It's kind of a joint liability loan in a very extreme way, and this is actually a very common loan in Africa, all over pretty much. So it requires, in some sense, 100% cash collateralization. What do? I have to have deposits in the SACCO of a third of the loan, and then I need to find two friends to co-sign the loan with me who have some savings in the SACCO. Okay, so I get Luke, and I'm going to co-op Mark Shotland, who I see is around, So Mark and Luke will be my two friends, and they have to sign a piece of paper saying, we have savings in the Savings and Credit Cooperative, so if Tavneet doesn't repay, you can take our savings. Okay, so it's a very common contract to bring in guarantors to provide security for you, and in this very binding way, they have to sign that their assets are available for repossession. Okay. Okay, so what did we do? We worked with a SACCO and we thought, God, this loan it's a really hard loan to get, right? How many people do I want to go to sign a loan for me, and how many people would? So we decided we would work with them to offer an asset collateralized loan. So let me show you what we did in our experiment. So the 100% cash collateralized loan at the top, that's the kind of standard offering of the SACCO. And then we added 3 arms to this. We said, okay, what if, you know, instead of doing this full cash collateral loan, I just asked you to put in a big deposit. Okay, and the idea is this is going to really screen out some of the big losers in the village, right? People who can't accumulate even that. So there's a deposit loan that has a 25% of the loan amount cash deposit up front. And then we did a guarantor loan where we basically said, okay, instead of needing 3 people, we're going to ask you to get just 1 guy. So now I don't need Luke and Mark, I only need Luke, and Luke brings in this 21% of the loan. Okay, so he has to have savings in the credit cooperative of 21%, and if I don't pay, I can go, the credit cooperative can go to those savings to at least recover some small fraction. In addition, I put in 4%. And then the last term, we said, okay, you're going to put in 4%, but the remaining is collateralized by the tank. So basically, if you don't pay off the loan, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to repossess the tank and sell it on the secondary market and make back my money. The other thing we did was in the Collins-Inman style. For the depositor and the guarantor, we kind of, for half of them, kept the deposit and the guarantor, and for the other half, after the randomization and after people took up the loans, we waived half. Okay. The idea here was we wanted to know, what do these guarantors do? Okay. You know, do they actually monitor, or do they just select good people? Okay, this design was supposed to tease apart those 2 things. I'm interested in, you know, when Mark says, oh, I'm happy to guarantee Tavneet's loan, is that because he knows I'm the most awesome risk in the world and I always repay, or is it because he lives next door and can, like, show up and monitor me? Okay, and it's important to know those. If it's the monitoring, then I really want Mark to have money in the game, right? Because the minute I release Mark's money, he has no incentive to monitor, okay? But if he's just putting up, you know, just pointing out who the good risks are, then I don't really need him to have money in the game, okay? He can just sort of try and tell me who's good. So that's what we were trying to test. Okay, I'm going to skip that because I will run out of time. Okay, so what are the credit terms? Like I said, I think I've already talked about these. It's a 24-month loan. You're paying about 1,000 shillings a month. You know, we're trying to make this very simple math for most people. 1,000 shillings, you know, the exchange rate is about 80 shillings to the dollar. And then they had a 1% interest rate and a 1% late fee.